You know exactly what I'm talking about. Those moments when life is going smoothly, and out of nowhere, someone hits you with a disrespectful comment or an insult that just blindsides you. Maybe it's at work, in the middle of presenting an idea you've been working on for weeks, and your coworker tosses out a sarcastic remark designed to make you look foolish. Or maybe it's at a family gathering, where someone who knows exactly how to push your buttons casually criticizes your life choices as if they have any clue what you've been through. Your pulse speeds up, your face flushes hot, and your first instinct is to strike back, defend yourself, and show them you're not someone to mess with. But let me share something powerful that Stoicism taught me. When you react emotionally, you've already lost. Because the moment you let anger take control, you're handing your power directly over to them. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Think about that for a second. If someone is intentionally provoking you, trying to drag you down to their level, what could frustrate them more than realizing their words have absolutely no effect on your inner peace? Trust me, I've been there. I used to let rude people ruin my day constantly. I'd replay their comments over and over, crafting clever comebacks hours later when it was way too late to use them. I'd get angry at myself for not reacting quicker, stronger, or smarter in the moment. But the truth is, getting pulled into emotional reactions didn't make me feel better. It only made me feel weaker because deep down, I knew they got exactly what they wanted. They controlled my mood, my thoughts, even my actions, and that felt worse than the disrespect itself. Then I discovered Stoicism, and it completely flipped the script for me. Stoicism is this ancient philosophy about controlling your reactions instead of trying to control everything around you. It teaches you that while you can't always control what happens to you or how others behave, you have complete power over how you respond. Instead of letting rude, arrogant people push you into negativity, Stoicism shows you how to stay calm, confident, and above their petty games. So here's the powerful secret. The next time someone tries to disrespect you, don't think of it as a personal attack. Think of it as a test of your character. Stoics call this reframing, choosing to see every challenge as an opportunity to grow stronger. Because every time you keep your composure, you level up emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. You show everyone, including yourself, that your inner peace isn't something anyone can shake. You become untouchable. That's exactly what today's video is all about. I'm going to show you practical, easy-to-use responses that'll help you instantly shut down disrespectful behavior with class, calm, and unshakable confidence. No yelling, no insults, just intelligent responses rooted in strength and self-control, so precise and powerful they leave rude people completely speechless. By the end of this, you'll have tools that'll make you feel incredibly empowered the next time someone tries to disrespect you. Instead of feeling angry, you'll actually feel in control. If that sounds valuable to you, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Journal for more practical Stoic wisdom to help you live your life with clarity, strength, and purpose. Trust me, you'll want to watch until the end, because these strategies will empower you to handle disrespect in a way that commands respect. Ready to learn exactly how to respond like a Stoic and put disrespectful people firmly in their place? Let's dive right in. 1. You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it. We all know at least one person who acts as if their opinion is the absolute truth, like their view is some kind of sacred gift they're generously handing down to us, whether we want it or not. Maybe it's a coworker who constantly criticizes your work, a relative who seems to think they have a say in how you live your life, or a friend who can't resist sharing judgmental comments about your choices. These people love to believe their opinions hold real power over you, and if you're anything like I used to be, maybe sometimes you even believed them. I've definitely been there. I used to feel genuinely upset or defensive when someone shared an unwanted, judgmental opinion about me or what I cared about. If someone criticized my plans, my ideas, or my decisions, I'd immediately jump to justify myself, desperately trying to explain why they were wrong. I'd spend hours afterward replaying their words, doubting myself, and letting their negativity chip away at my confidence. It was exhausting, and worse, it handed control of my happiness directly over to someone else. But here's where the wisdom of Stoicism completely changed my mindset. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus teach us a simple but incredibly freeing truth. The opinions of others are completely outside your control and, ultimately, irrelevant to your happiness. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that for a moment. Why should we let someone else's negative words influence our mood or choices when we can't control them anyway? Once I understood that deeply, I realized I didn't owe anyone an explanation. I didn't have to waste my energy arguing, justifying, or defending myself from someone's unwanted judgment. One afternoon at work, I presented an idea I'd spent weeks refining. I felt good, proud even. Immediately after I finished, a co-worker, let's call him Steve, smirked and openly mocked my idea in front of the whole team, sarcastically saying, "Wow, that sounds totally unrealistic. You sure put a lot of thought into that nonsense." Everyone in the room glanced awkwardly toward me, waiting to see if I'd snap, crumble, or get defensive. In the past, I might have immediately tried to prove Steve wrong, giving him exactly what he wanted, a heated argument or a flustered defense. But this time, I simply paused, took a calm breath, smiled confidently and said, "Steve, you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it." Then I calmly continued the conversation as though Steve's words had never even happened. The change in dynamic was instant. Steve was stunned into silence, expecting me to engage in some defensive, emotional reaction. Instead, he found himself ignored, irrelevant, his negativity deprived of all power. The conversation moved forward positively, and the respect in the room clearly shifted toward me. This Stoic response isn't about being clever or even dismissive. It's about reclaiming your personal power, calmly setting clear emotional boundaries, and refusing to let negative people control your peace. It's a gentle reminder to yourself and everyone else in the room that you aren't obligated to internalize their opinions, especially when they're judgmental, unhelpful, or disrespectful. Stoicism reminds us clearly, our internal tranquility and confidence are never dependent on external validation or approval. Others can have their opinions, and they're fully entitled to express them, but we always retain complete power over how much importance we grant those opinions. By calmly ignoring negativity and staying focused on your own values, goals, and confidence, you embody true Stoic strength. 2. If I had $1 for every smart thing you said, I'd be broke. We all have encountered that one person who feels the constant need to showcase their supposed intelligence by undermining or sarcastically commenting on everyone else's ideas. You know who I'm talking about. The type of person who interrupts others mid-sentence, rolls their eyes, or makes sarcastic remarks that are less about being funny and more about putting someone down. It's almost as if their entire identity revolves around trying to appear smarter or more important than everyone else. But here's the thing. Stoicism teaches us that this behavior is usually rooted in insecurity rather than genuine superiority. One of the fundamental principles of Stoicism is recognizing clearly what's within our control and what isn't. You can't control how someone else chooses to behave, especially when they're acting from a place of insecurity or arrogance, but you can always control your response. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In simpler terms, you don't need to stoop to someone else's level or respond with equal negativity. Instead, you can maintain your dignity and inner calm by responding thoughtfully and clearly. That's where a phrase like, "If I had $1 for every smart thing you said, I'd be broke," comes into play. It's a witty, playful response that subtly but clearly indicates that you're fully aware of the person's intentions without directly attacking them. It's a light-hearted way of signaling to them and others around you that their negativity isn't going unnoticed, but you're choosing not to get upset or dragged down by it. From a Stoic standpoint, this kind of response has great strength. You're refusing to allow someone else's attempt to belittle or irritate you to disrupt your emotional state. You're not responding with anger, defensiveness, or bitterness. Instead, you're showing emotional maturity by using humor and calmness to diffuse the situation. Humor, when used wisely, can be an incredibly powerful tool because it not only neutralizes negativity, but also positions you as someone confident enough not to be easily shaken. Imagine a scenario where you're explaining an idea or passion of yours. Maybe it's a project you've poured your heart into or an interest you care deeply about. And then, predictably, someone throws out a sarcastic or dismissive comment, implying that your idea lacks intelligence or value. Instead of becoming defensive or feeling hurt, you calmly and confidently reply, "If I had $1 for every smart thing you said, I'd be broke," smiling as you say it. That moment can feel incredibly empowering. It shows that you're aware of their negativity, but you're choosing not to internalize it. The power behind this Stoic-inspired response is in its casual dismissal of negativity. You're communicating clearly that you recognize the person's attempt to diminish your idea or intelligence, but you're not giving them any satisfaction. Your peace remains intact because you're fully aware their sarcasm reveals more about their insecurities than your value. Stoicism reminds us constantly, others' judgments or insults have no real impact on our worth unless we permit them to. By adopting this mindset, you not only strengthen your emotional resilience, but also discourage future negativity from others. Over time, people who thrive on sarcasm and belittling comments learn that their tactics simply don't affect you, and they'll usually move on to easier targets. This Stoic practice, calmly deflecting negativity, protects your inner peace and helps cultivate healthier interactions overall. 3. I don't argue with people who thrive on disrespect. We've all met someone whose entire approach to conversation feels more like combat than genuine dialogue. You know exactly the type I'm talking about. The kind of person who seems to get energized by disagreement, thrives on conflict, and consistently responds with disrespect or sarcasm rather than genuine interest or understanding. Conversations with them quickly become exhausting because they rarely engage to understand or find common ground. Instead, they're always looking for an opportunity to escalate, belittle, or provoke. It's as if their self-worth depends on winning arguments, even if the argument itself is pointless. Now, here's where Stoicism offers a refreshing perspective. Stoics like Epictetus remind us that engaging in conflict with someone committed to disrespect is like entering a battle that offers no meaningful victory. Epictetus famously said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him." Think about that. Each time you engage with someone who thrives on disrespect, you're essentially giving away control of your emotions, allowing them to dictate your peace. When you calmly say, "I don't argue with people who thrive on disrespect," you're practicing a powerful form of Stoic detachment. Not indifference, but thoughtful disengagement. You're not running away from conflict. You're intentionally choosing which battles are worth fighting. You're asserting clearly that conversations built on mutual respect and openness have value, but interactions aimed solely at provoking or disrespecting you simply do not. This approach has made a huge difference in my own life. I used to get drawn into endless debates, thinking I needed to prove myself or defend my ideas against every critic. But the truth is, these arguments rarely achieved anything productive. Instead, they left me drained, irritated, and frustrated, exactly how the other person wanted me to feel. Eventually, I realized that by engaging, I was playing directly into their hands. Stoicism taught me that true strength isn't about winning arguments. It's about controlling my reactions, preserving my peace, and wisely choosing how to respond. So now, when someone attempts to pull me into their cycle of negativity or disrespect, I pause, take a breath, and gently but firmly state, I don't argue with people who thrive on disrespect. By doing this, I'm clearly communicating my boundaries. I'm making it known that I'm aware of their intention and refuse to allow them to disrupt my internal tranquility. It often leaves them stunned or speechless because it's not the reaction they anticipated. They're used to confrontation, to seeing others get angry or flustered. When you choose calm, firm disengagement instead, it throws them completely off their game. From a Stoic perspective, choosing not to argue isn't about conceding defeat or letting others disrespect you without consequence. It's about consciously deciding that your emotional well-being is far more valuable than the fleeting satisfaction of winning an argument against someone whose mind won't be changed anyway. It's about setting clear emotional boundaries, demonstrating self-respect, and safeguarding your inner peace. Over time, this response also teaches others how you expect to be treated. People who thrive on disrespect begin to realize that their negative behavior doesn't get them the reaction or the attention they seek from you. They'll often either adapt their behavior toward you or simply move on to someone else who is willing to participate in their negativity. 4. Your attitude isn't going to get you very far in life. We've all encountered someone whose attitude is a consistent barrier to their own growth and happiness. Maybe it's the coworker who constantly complains and undermines teamwork, or perhaps it's a friend who always sees the negative in every situation and refuses to acknowledge anything positive. Their negativity seems relentless, and sometimes it even starts affecting everyone around them, including you. It can feel frustrating or discouraging because their attitude often brings down the entire atmosphere of a conversation, a team, or even an entire day. But here's the thing. Stoicism teaches us a valuable lesson about how to deal with individuals whose attitudes seem toxic or counterproductive. One of the foundational Stoic beliefs, emphasized by philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, is that our happiness and progress depend primarily on our own perceptions and attitudes, not external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This means if someone's attitude is consistently negative, disrespectful, or harmful, they're not only making life harder for others, they're also limiting their own potential for happiness and growth. When you gently and calmly point out to someone that your attitude isn't going to get you very far in life, you're essentially offering a Stoic-inspired reflection, giving them a moment to pause and reconsider their own mindset. This isn't meant as a harsh criticism, but rather as a sincere observation, highlighting the truth that negative attitudes typically lead to equally negative outcomes. Stoics remind us constantly that our attitude shapes our reality. A negative attitude often closes doors that positivity, openness, and respectfulness would open. When someone consistently approaches life with negativity, they inevitably miss opportunities, push people away, and sabotage their own progress. The Stoic approach isn't about judging them harshly for this. It's about calmly making them aware of the consequences of their mindset. It's a chance to help them recognize that their attitude, more than anything else, is holding them back. Think of it this way. Every negative, disrespectful, or uncooperative attitude creates friction, both internally and externally. Internally, it drains the person's own energy and joy. Externally, it strains relationships, causes misunderstandings, and often pushes away the very people who could support them or help them succeed. By gently pointing this out, you're helping them realize they have a choice. They can continue down a path of negativity, which inevitably leads nowhere fulfilling, or they can consciously choose a more constructive, positive attitude aligned with the Stoic principle of focusing clearly on what they can control, their thoughts, perceptions, and actions. Expressing this calmly but directly also reinforces your own emotional boundaries. Stoicism teaches us not to let someone else's negative attitude affect our internal peace. When you say, "Your attitude isn't going to get you very far in life," you're protecting your emotional well-being by clearly communicating your awareness and refusal to be influenced or drawn into their negativity. This simple but firm observation often sparks introspection. At the very least, it provides clarity about your boundaries, signaling to the person that their negativity is both recognized and unproductive. You're helping them see the long-term consequences of their mindset without attacking or insulting them. Over time, this can inspire genuine reflection, potentially motivating them to reconsider their approach to life and interactions with others. 5. This conversation was over before it even started. You know those moments when someone tries to bait you into a pointless argument or debate? They might throw out an inflammatory comment, criticize something you care deeply about, or simply say something disrespectful with the clear intention of provoking you. It's so tempting, isn't it, to jump into these conflicts head first, to defend yourself or your ideas passionately. But here's something Stoicism has taught me about such situations. Most of these arguments aren't even worth starting, let alone winning. Stoics teach us that our most precious resources are our time, our attention, and our inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." That's exactly the mindset behind responding with, "This conversation was over before it even started." You're acknowledging that not every battle deserves your energy or reaction, especially when the other person isn't seeking genuine understanding but merely conflict or attention. When someone initiates a conversation or confrontation with disrespect or deliberate negativity, they're essentially setting the tone and intention right from the outset. They aren't approaching the dialogue with openness or curiosity. They're looking for a reaction. The Stoic response is to recognize this intention clearly, refuse to participate, and calmly but firmly exit before the situation escalates. Responding with, "This conversation was over before it even started," can feel remarkably empowering. It's not dismissive or rude. It's a simple, honest recognition that genuine communication isn't happening here. It's about respecting your own boundaries and refusing to waste your valuable energy and attention on negativity. In fact, in many ways, it's one of the most respectful things you can do, because it doesn't allow the conversation to spiral into emotional conflict or hostility. Consider it from a Stoic perspective. Your internal state, your tranquility, clarity, and peace is more valuable than any temporary satisfaction you might get from winning an argument or proving a point. Stoicism encourages us to remain mindful and deliberate about where we choose to direct our energy. When someone tries to lure you into negativity or conflict, the most stoic and wise thing to do is to calmly acknowledge what's happening and choose not to engage further. This doesn't just help you in the moment, it also sends a powerful message to the other person and those around you. It shows maturity, emotional intelligence, and strength. By refusing to engage in needless conflict, you're communicating clearly that you won't allow your emotions or time to be hijacked. Over time, people learn that you're someone who can't easily be provoked, which in itself prevents future conflicts from even arising. It's important, though, to deliver this phrase with composure and calmness. The Stoic ideal isn't to use this response aggressively or defensively, but rather as a calm, gentle assertion of your personal boundaries and values. Your goal isn't to make the other person feel inferior or foolish. It's simply to communicate that you're aware of their intention and that you're consciously choosing to protect your own inner peace. 6. Thanks for your input. I'll be sure to forget it immediately. We've all encountered people who offer unsolicited advice, unwanted criticism, or opinions that add nothing valuable to our lives. Sometimes it's subtle, like someone questioning your career choices, hobbies, or personal style under the guise of just being helpful. Other times, it's openly disrespectful, like someone publicly dismissing your ideas, your dreams, or your hard work. No matter how it comes, this type of negativity can be frustrating or even hurtful if we allow it to be. But here's something powerful I've learned from Stoicism. The negativity or criticism we receive from others only holds power if we choose to let it in. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly: if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Think about that. You're never truly hurt by someone else's words or actions, but by your reaction to them. So how can we practically apply this Stoic wisdom when someone's comments feel intrusive or disrespectful? Well, one particularly effective response I've found is calmly and casually saying, "Thanks for your input. I'll be sure to forget it immediately." Now, this might seem harsh at first glance, but let me explain why it's actually a deeply Stoic and empowering response. First, you're politely acknowledging their statement without giving it emotional significance. You're not arguing, becoming defensive, or allowing yourself to get drawn into negativity. Instead, you're calmly asserting that their opinion, at least in this context, is simply irrelevant. This response communicates clearly that their negativity holds no weight in your decision-making or self-worth. Second, from a Stoic standpoint, you're demonstrating emotional self-control and strength. Epictetus taught that we should always distinguish clearly between what we can control and what we cannot. You can't control whether someone chooses to say something negative or disrespectful, but you absolutely control how you respond. By saying, "I'll be sure to forget it immediately," you're explicitly choosing peace over turmoil, strength over vulnerability, and clarity over confusion. You're choosing not to carry someone else's negative baggage with you. For example, imagine you're excitedly sharing a new project, something you've poured your heart into. You've done your research, you're committed, and you're proud of your progress. But someone casually tosses out an unhelpful comment, maybe suggesting you're wasting your time or that your idea has no value. It's natural to feel a brief sting of annoyance or doubt, but by calmly responding with, "Thanks for your input. I'll be sure to forget it immediately," you protect your peace. You're politely informing the person that their negativity isn't welcome in your mental space. In a sense, you're treating negativity like a visitor who knocks at your door. You acknowledge their presence briefly. After all, Stoicism doesn't teach denial or suppression, but then you kindly and quickly dismiss them. This Stoic-inspired approach helps you maintain your confidence and momentum. It's a reminder to yourself, too, that the power of your inner peace lies firmly in your hands, unaffected by external opinions that don't serve your growth. Remember, responding in this way isn't about being dismissive out of arrogance. It's about clarity of purpose and emotional maturity. You're deciding consciously not to allow anyone else's negativity to disrupt your sense of direction or your joy. Over time, people around you begin to notice that their negative comments and attempts to undermine your confidence simply don't land the way they used to. Gradually, you'll find fewer of these interactions happening because negativity thrives on reaction, and you're no longer providing it. 7. You seem really dedicated to making a fool of yourself. You've probably encountered someone who seems absolutely committed to embarrassing themselves by trying to embarrass others. You know the type. They thrive on negativity, make inappropriate jokes at someone else's expense, or consistently offer remarks that are neither helpful nor wanted. It's almost like they have this uncontrollable urge to attract attention, even if it means looking foolish or inconsiderate in front of others. They're often loud, overly confident, and completely unaware of how their behavior actually reflects on them more than anyone else. The thing is, Stoicism gives us incredible clarity on how to handle people like this. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus often reminded us that people's negative or disrespectful behaviors reflect their own internal struggles far more than they reflect our worth. He famously suggested viewing such interactions as opportunities to practice patience, composure, and inner peace, rather than allowing ourselves to become emotionally reactive. This idea has helped me a lot. I used to feel awkward or uncomfortable when someone publicly tried to embarrass or undermine me. I'd wonder if maybe their jokes or negative comments contained a grain of truth. But then, through studying Stoicism, I realized their behavior had almost nothing to do with me. It was about their own insecurity, their desire for validation, or simply their own misguided attempt to feel superior. So now, when someone tries to embarrass me or others, one of the most powerful and surprisingly calming responses I've found is simply saying with gentle confidence, "You seem really dedicated to making a fool of yourself." At first glance, this may sound confrontational, but let me unpack why it's actually aligned deeply with Stoicism. Firstly, it's a statement of observation rather than insult. You're calmly pointing out a fact. The person's behavior is clearly not helping them. Instead of getting angry, offended, or defensive, you're simply holding up a mirror. You're giving them the opportunity, perhaps for the first time, to reflect clearly on how their actions look to others. Secondly, from a Stoic perspective, you're protecting your own tranquility. Marcus Aurelius reminded us often that our primary job is to guard our peace of mind above all else. When someone repeatedly crosses the boundaries of respect and decency, calmly and firmly responding with clarity sets a powerful boundary. You're demonstrating that your composure won't be rattled by negativity, and you're signaling that you're aware of what they're attempting to do. Think about it. When someone is acting out, they're often craving reaction or validation. They want the room to notice, laugh along, or become uncomfortable. When you calmly acknowledge their foolishness, you're effectively removing the reward they seek. They no longer feel powerful or superior. They feel exposed. You're subtly showing them, and everyone else around, that their attempts at negativity don't hold any weight or control over you. Now, it's important to deliver this response from a place of calm and confidence rather than irritation. A true Stoic approach never involves aggression or unnecessary harshness, just clear, unshakable confidence. The goal isn't to humiliate or attack the other person, but rather to assert clearly and calmly that their behavior is transparent and ineffective. Over time, using this kind of response can even influence the dynamic of your relationships. People who might previously have felt comfortable being negative or disrespectful around you begin to recognize it simply doesn't work. They start adjusting their behavior, or at least think twice before trying to disrupt your peace again. Remember, true power lies not in how we react to others, but in how firmly we hold on to our own peace. Choose calmness, choose clarity, choose Stoicism. If you enjoyed this, click on one of the videos on your screen right now to continue strengthening your Stoic mindset. I'm glad you're part of Stoic Journal. See you soon.